Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
Welcome to Track Talk, your connection coast to coast and beyond in all the latest news, developments, stake race analysis, and interviews inside the world of thoroughbred horse racing. From California to New York, Florida, and Kentucky, we have you covered. It's post time, live from San Diego. It's Track Talk. And we welcome you on a Saturday morning from America's finest city. This is Track Talk along with Tommy D. Johnny Lowe is in the house, and I'm Felix Taverna, and we're going to take you right inside Churchill Downs because we are a week away from the 145th running of the Kentucky Derby, live from Louisville, Kentucky at Churchill Downs, where 20 colts or geldings will enter into that starting gate, and one of them will come away as the 2019 Kentucky Derby winner. Welcome aboard, no matter where you are throughout the country. I want to welcome a new promotional sponsor of our radio program, the Coast News, up there in Encinitas from Oceanside to Carmel Valley in Del Mar. They will be helping us, and we will be helping them spread the news and get their paper out. And in addition, Tommy D and I will provide a Kentucky Derby cheat sheet for them for this upcoming week. So, Christopher Kidd, top of the morning, Coast News, one of the best local freebie newspapers along the coast. Been in the marketplace for over 40 years. Our friends down there in San Antonio, Texas, M2 Technology, we welcome you as well. And tonight, it's Game 7 between the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs. So all you Spurs down there in San Antonio, top of the morning to you. Bob Verratti back in Philadelphia. Top of the morning to you. Rick Sumner back in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, one of the finest high school quarterbacks ever to emerge from Western Pennsylvania, joining us on the radio program this morning. And Tommy D, here we go again. It is Kentucky Derby time.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thanks for listening. Run for the Roses, just 1 week away. $3 million in the purse this year. This is next Saturday, so make sure to mark your calendar. It's going to be a good one this year, Felix. The field seems wide open. We're not going in with a sure favorite like last year and years in the past. This field looks to be wide open. I believe there's 5-6 horses that can win the Derby this year. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. And if you're a horse racing fan, this is a great time for you.
Well, there's no Justify in this group, is there?
Not in my eyes. I think Justify came in a lot bigger and badder last year in the Baffert barn, and Baffert's got 3 this year. So it's interesting to say that, but Justify, I think, was at a new level. The physical presence, as we said, the new Big Red last year. I know you made comments on me about saying that, but, Justify surely deserved that name after its run last year. But Bob Baffert, has a really good shot. I think, I think all 3 really have a shot to win the Derby this year. And, we'll see how it plays out, but it's an interesting one. We could get a long shot in this one, too, possibly.
Absolutely. We went like 40,000 years without a Triple Crown winner. And then American Pharoah did it. And then 2 years after that, Justify got in. So Bob Baffert now has 2 Triple Crown winners. Johnny Lowe inside the studio. Johnny, top of the morning.
Hey, thank you for allowing me to be on the program this morning. It's a privilege and an honor.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our privilege and honor to have you. And I know that you and Tommy were doing a lot of work. You got your top Big 5 in the Kentucky Derby on the YouTube channel. You guys sat down, and did you confer with each other on who you thought the 5 were that should be the showcase of this 20 colt and gelding field?
Yeah, we did dissect it pretty well between both of us. We have a couple different angles with Johnny. Johnny's looks into the pedigree, very pedigree analysis, deep into the pedigree and looking at past champions and where they came from, where I'm looking at more of the connections, the handicapping side of it. So both of us together, I think we put together a nice little top 5. Feel pretty good about going into the Kentucky Derby.
Okay, for all the lay listeners, a 2-year-old becomes a 3-year-old on January 1st. So every horse has a birthday on January 1st. These are colts. They become 3 on January 1st. And then the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown Series is just restricted for 3-year-olds, colts, and geldings. And so the question is that they're lightly raced. They go from 4.5 to 5 furlongs maybe to break a maiden, or 6 at that. And then they stretch them out, maybe 7 furlongs to a mile. But in the Derby, they have to run 1.25 miles, and that is the test of these 3-year-olds. You'll hear a lot of questions. Can he get the distance of 1.25 miles? Johnny Lowe, at first look, who are the top 3 that you would see that would have no problem getting the distance of 1.25 miles?
My top 3, I think Improbable is going to be able to get it. He has really good strides. I think his breeding, his cross is really good with City Zip over an AP Indy mare. I think Omaha Beach is going to be able to get the 1.25 miles. He's by Warfront. A lot of people think Warfront is a turf stallion, but he's already had a couple horses in the race. One ran 11th, one ran 7th, so he's definitely not being embarrassed. And then on the bottom side of Omaha Beach, you've got a broodmare that's dropped. Take Charge Brandy, who was a Grade 1 multi-million-dollar winner, and her dam Take Charge Lady dropped Take Charge Indy and Will Take Charge, who are 2 very well-known horses. Take Charge Indy actually has a horse in this race, Long Range Toddy. And then I think Maximum Security is going to be able to get it. He's by New Year's Day, who was a juvenile Breeders' Cup juvenile champion. He's out of an AP Indy mare, and his dam is a half to flat out. He won at 10 furlongs. I think he's going to have stamina on top and bottom.
Gary West has 2. Gary and Mary West has 2. One of the aforementioned maximum security, as you just mentioned, in Game Winner. All right, so let's shake and bake a little bit, Tommy D. Let's go with number 5. Who's number 5 on the Johnny Lowe, Tommy D list of Kentucky Derby look-ats? And, you guys were pretty confident in regard to doing your video that there was no hesitation on the 5 that you came forward with. So who's at number 5?
Yeah, number 5, I'll let Johnny kick it off. This is before seeing post positions also and determining the weather, so that also will be a factor on game day. But number 5, Johnny, why don't you tell him number 5?
Yeah, so number 5, we went with By My Standards. By My Standards is by Golden Sense, who was 17th in the Derby. By My Standards is out of A Jealous Woman by Mook Tarib, who's by Gone West. The dam, A Jealous Woman, won $470,000 in her career. Her best races were mile on the turf. Although one thing I will say about horses that run on the turf, they're a little bit more bred for stamina. So sometimes those turf horses, they can take them and put them on those 1.5 mile dirt races. So that's a good thing on the bottom side of the pedigree. Obviously, he has the most to prove, but if you watch his races, he has really good strides, and his works have been excellent right now in Churchill Downs.
He's out of a mare called Jealous Woman that was a turf runner here. And my friend Martin Mueller bought the mare and bred By My standards to I can't remember who the sire is right now, but maybe you guys could help me. By My standards, who is it?
Golden Sense.
Golden Sense, which was a true speedster that Doug O'Neill trained here in Southern California. By My Standards won the Louisiana Derby, correct?
He did, yes.
All right, so that was a pretty nice run. He was a big price that day. I believe it was 15 or 16 to 1. It might have been more, but that's not really important right now. By My Standards breaks the top 5 of Tommy D and Johnny Lowe's horses to watch in the Kentucky Derby. Now we go to number 4, Tommy D.
Yeah, so number 4 is Game Winner, 85 points here. Bob Baffert, we're going to be saying a lot about Bob Baffert here. You got Rosario. This horse finished in second in the Santa Anita Derby, second in the Rebel. This horse won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Gary and Mary West, as we talk about connections here. I like this horse quite a bit. I think that some people knocked him down on his list, but I think Game Winner has a fair shot here. Me and Johnny were talking a little bit before the show on on that last race against Roadster, not really needing the win. Bob Baffert kind of setting up nicely there for Roadster. So Game Winner, I think, should be right in the mix here. Number 4 on our list is Game Winner. John, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, Game Winner's by Candy Ride. Candy Ride was a stallion of Shared Belief, Gun Runner, Sydney's Candy, Twirling Candy. I mean, the list goes on and on. Mastery, I think, could have been the best horse. He ended up with that condylar fracture and ended up off the trail. Always Dreaming won that year. But he's out of an AP Indy mare as well. AP Indy seems like the broodmare stallion of the year. And then you've got a second dam. Fleet Indian won the Personal Ensign, which was a grade 1 at 10 furlongs, a Delaware handicap, which was a grade 2 at 10 furlongs. Game Winner is going to show up. He's got the breeding. He's got the size. He's got the heart. I think he's going to be a formidable opponent.
All right. A furlong's an eighth of a mile, so how long is 10 furlongs?
Mile and a quarter.
Mile and a quarter. Classic distance. Now you know. Everybody out there, a furlong is an eighth of a mile. 10 of them is a mile and a quarter. So go out there and run 10 furlongs today and come back with your times. Okay, that's number 4, Game Winner. Very highly touted. Was he ready in the Santa Anita Derby? I don't think so. Gary West texted me, the owner of Game Winner, has told me that he might need this race. Believe it, if you would. And, a lot of them were rushed, as we talked about. We talked about how Justify was rushed into the prep races last year to garner enough points for the right to run in the Kentucky Derby. There were a number of horses the final weekend of the prep races that were on the bubble. Who's number 3, Tommy D?
Yeah, so number 3 is Improbable.
Who?
Another Bob Baffert horse.
Who?
Improbable. You got Irad Ortiz Jr., one of the top young jocks on the board here for Baffert, second in the Arkansas Derby, second in the one of those Rebel divisions, and WinStar China Horse Club. As we know, the connections are very strong. So 65 points sitting at number 11 on the Derby list here. Improbable. I think this horse looked pretty solid in that last race, and I think with improvement here, it could be very strong.
Didn't they win last year with Justify, the same owner group?
That is correct.
All right, baby. My mind's still working. Johnny Lowe, what do you think about the breeding of Improbable?
I think he's got strong breeding. I'm a huge fan of City Zip. I know he passed away in 2017, I believe. But City Zip has just produced monsters. He's got Bulletin, who's running today at Churchill Downs. It's a turf sprint. Day at the Spa was a horse that went distance. He's had Collected, who beat Arrogate and Accelerate at a mile and a quarter, so that tells you what kind of stamina that he could produce. Rare Event is his brood mare. She's the AP Indy line. He's the first progeny of her, so it's kind of hard to guess exactly what she's going to do as a broodmare. But if you look, the third dam, Turkish Tryst, dropped 4 6-figure winners, most notably Hard Spun. So, I mean, he comes from a really, really good broodmare line. I think he gets the distance.
All righty. And number 2 on the top 5.
Omaha Beach.
Oh, yeah.
137.5 points. Mandela Smith deciding to ride Omaha Beach. Big factor there. Fox Hill Farm, great outlet. Won the Arkansas Stakes and also won one of those Rebels divisions also. So this horse looking really strong, over $1 million earnings. Omaha Beach, I think, is a must play going into the Derby. Johnny, your thoughts, Omaha Beach?
I think Omaha Beach is an absolute monster. Mandela is very happy with everything that he's done. If you look early in the horse's career, when he lost a couple races, he was losing by a nose, but he was showing a lot of heart and a lot of fight. I think something clicked for him, and he's gotten past that. He's beaten Game Winner and Improbable in his last 2 races. Like we said earlier, his broodmare Charming, who's by Seeking the Gold, has dropped Take Charge Brandy, who was a Breeders' Cup juvenile filly champion. The second dam, Take Charge Lady, dropped Take Charge Indy and Will Take Charge. I think he's going to be the favorite. This horse is the one that Mike Smith picked, and he's going to be the one that people are going to have to come out and beat. He's got speed, which is good in the Derby. He's not going to get stuck in traffic. He's going to be very tough.
You guys aren't old enough to remember when the favorites never won the Derby. Okay, for years, it was like 20 years that the favorite has not won the Derby. The last 5 Derbies, the favorite has won. So will Omaha Beach add his name to the 6th favorite, the betting choice? prior to the post and prior to the gates opening at Churchill Downs. We'll find out next Saturday as Derby Week rolls right along. Can't wait to hear your number one selection, Tommy D. Who do you think is your top choice, or you know who it is, but the fans listening to our radio program have no idea who's number one?
Well, yeah, we're going to throw a wrench in there. Some people might be thinking, well, the top point leader here, but we're going to go with number 7 on the list, 100 points, Maximum Security, winner of the Florida Derby. Service red hot right now. Gary and Mary West are the owners, so I think the connections are really strong. Yep. This horse came out of nowhere, and I think people are going to play against it because of its first couple races, but I think Maximum Security, me and Johnny analyzed this horse quite a bit, and I think it has a really good chance to win the Derby.
All right, he won the Florida Derby, correct?
That is correct.
All right, and he went wire to wire in the Florida Derby, which a lot of the other runners thought that he would come back to the field. Johnny Lowe, tell us about the breeding of Maximum Security.
He's got probably the most interesting breeding in the field. His stallion New Year's Day, he was a horse for Bob Baffert that did win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Remember him well.
When they first put him out as a stallion, he was getting 100 mares for booking. He ended up his last year, I think, was like 25. They sold him for $16,000 to South America. His broodmare, Little Indy, by Anna Sheed, who's by AP Indy. They sold her in full for $11,000 to Korean Interest in full to New Year's Day. So somewhere he's going to have a full brother in Korea. His dam is a half to Flat Out, who won grade 1s from 8 to 10 furlongs, and our best man, who ran 117 times. So I think the horse is going to be pretty durable. I know they started him off in a $16,000 maiden claimer first time out, 6 furlongs. If you look at the times that he ran in the sprints, early on fractions, he was running 22 seconds. I know he has it in him. And if you see how fast he finished the Florida Derby, they weren't catching him. The horse that ran third, Code of Honor, is going to be in the Kentucky Derby. People give a lot of credit to that horse. And he beat that horse by 6+ lengths. I know it's tough to close into the fractions that he set early on, but he wasn't getting tired. The jockey was Louis Size at the end of the race. He was doing a little pose with the whip in the air. That horse could easily go another 1/8 of a mile. I think he's going to be out towards the front. If you watch how he breaks well every time. He's very alert. I think the horse's number one asset is his brains. I think he's a very smart horse, and he's going to be tough.
I do not discount that at all, and I do not discredit your analysis through the 5. There's a couple others that, I'm just waiting, as Tommy D talked about on the top of the broadcast. Post positions are really well. If Improbable draws the inside 1, 2, or 3, I throw him out. Improbable does not like the inside. I'm sure if we got Bob Baffert, and we'll try to get Bob Baffert on this radio program tomorrow morning. If we were a little bit earlier to the studio this morning, me speaking, that I would have been able to reach out to him, because Tommy D thought that it would be great to get him, or our man Richard Mandella, the man of many words, if you recall the last interview we had with him on the radio program. And he did win with Omaha Beach, the 2 divisions of the Rebel Stakes down in Arkansas at Oaklawn Park, and then won the Arkansas Derby. However, I don't like Omaha Beach at all. I don't know why, but there's something in my gut that tells me that he's a bounce factor. And when I use the word bounce, I'll go back to my late partner, Kenny Daniels, who used the rags and sheets, and they would refer the bounce term to a horse who ran some very, very sharp races, or maybe his last race was as good as it was ever, and the next time out, he just didn't have anything because he left it on the track the race before, a.k.a. a bouncer. For some reason, I think Omaha Beach is a bouncer, but that's my opinion. Johnny Lowe talked about how Mandella got him, and Mandella even mentioned, I want to teach Omaha Beach to be a fighter. Well, he was a fighter in the Rebel Stakes, and he definitely was a fighter in the Arkansas Derby as well. Now, what I'm, we're talking Derby, which is next week, the icon of America. It's America, the flag, mom, and the apple pie, and Kentucky Derby. I mean, the Kentucky Derby is one of the icons of the American fabric in sports. It's the best 2 minutes in sports. Tab years ago. So if it's the best 2 minutes in sports, and we're all going to be focusing our attention on the Kentucky Derby, then tell me, either one of you two guys, give me the pace scenario. Who's going to be out front? Who are the front runners in this Derby? Do you have any idea who they might be, Johnny, without perhaps maybe the past performances in front of you, or if you can just off the top of your head, give me 5 horses that will be on the front.
Yeah, I could do that. I think Spinoff gets out of the gate pretty well. He could be towards the front.
Okay.
Tacoma could be towards the front. I think that Omaha Beach and Maximum Security are going to be out towards the front. I think Long Range Toddy gets more credit for coming from off the pace, but he's going to be up closer. And I think that Cutting Humor might be towards the front. I'm not really sure exactly what Pletcher plans on doing with his 2 horses, but they both kind of pull a little bit. I think Tax will be up there. I think you have a decent amount of speed in this race, and I think you have a decent amount of closers. It's going to be interesting what they do with Roadster. Roadster does have some tactical speed. They can push him towards the front. He can come off the pace. I think Tacitus can come off the pace. He's going to. I just don't know how far back he'll be. I think Heichel's a deep closer. He'll be coming from the back. It sets up pretty much however people break out of the gate. We saw in the Always Dreaming Derby where I forget who the horse was, but he broke out of the auxiliary gate and wiped out everybody. Classic Empire. There was a lot of horses that were affected by that, and it kind of gave Always Dreaming a little better trip than people expected. And it affected the outcome of the race. Nobody was able to catch him.
You have 20 in the gate. That's another thing. It's a cavalry charge. It's position, and as Tommy mentioned on the top of the broadcast, we don't know about the weather. Last year, it was an off track, I do believe, or it was raining during the Kentucky Derby, and then it dried out. But nevertheless, we don't know what the weather is going to be. Tommy, what do you think about the speed scenario?
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys talked about it. I think, also Hidden Scroll might be another one possibly that could be up front there. But I think that, it's going to play. The strategy is up to the trainers and the jockeys, and they're still figuring it out. Some horses that maybe go to the front, maybe they're going to try to set them back. Maybe some horses, Baffert has a couple horses. Maybe one's going to go to the front. Maybe they'll play strategy. I'm not quite sure here, but it could change. It could change the running style a little bit going up to the race. Most of them will stay true to their form, but there will be directions from their trainers to the jockeys that have to be, well listened to, because there's 20 horses out there, and you're going to have to get around 20 a big field if you're in the back.
All right, the big question was, where was Mike Smith going to go? Was he going to stay with the Baffert clan, or was he going to go ahead and stay with Richard Mandela in Omaha Beach? Well, he made that decision, so I'm a little confused. Maybe you guys can help me out here as I point myself to the finish line. Who's riding Roadster?
Giroux.
Yeah.
Who?
Giroux. Florent Giroux.
Florent Giroux.
Yeah, he got the call.
So Baffert went to Florent Giroux.
Yeah.
Florent Giroux.
Uh-huh.
All right, which is a very okay. So, who's riding? Who's riding Game Winner? Joel Rosario.
That is correct.
You touched upon my horse a little bit, and he hasn't been getting any love, and I'm trying to keep it underneath the radar a little bit, but, there's a guy named Shug McGahee who trained Orb to win the Kentucky Derby. And if there's anybody that can get a horse to improve from the preps to the Derby, it's my man Shuggy back there in New York. You gave me goosebumps when you mentioned him regarding chasing Maximum Security, Johnny Lowe, in regard to the Florida Derby. Code of Honor had a lot of trouble in that race. Code of Honor is going to be written by John Velasquez, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
You guys sure? You guys
Johnny V.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I do know more than you guys
Yep.
do then, right? All right. So you guys have to
Third
look
in the Florida Derby, first in the Fountain of Youth, the last two races.
Yeah. All right. What do you think? Does he? Can we go back and watch trip notes and trip reports in regard to take a look at maybe Code of Honor's trip in the Florida Derby?
I mean, you could. I'm not sure really if he would have had a different strategy going into it, though. He's not a horse that really wants to be on the pace. I think he wants to come off the pace. I know a lot of the horses bunched up when they're headed around. I think Hidden Scroll got the worst of it. He was on the inside, and Castellano was pulling him back the entire time. But I think that Code of Honor, he's got a decent shot. He's by Noble Mission, who's a full brother to Frankel. He's doing really well producing horses on the dirt. He's out of Reunited, who's by Dixie Union. Dixie Union Stallions, Dixieland Band was a broodmare stallion for Street Sense and Monarchos.
Yeah.
So clearly on the
Monarchos.
bottom side, he's going to have the stamina.
Yeah.
If the horse fires, anything can happen.
Yep, absolutely can happen in the Derby. Tommy D, War of Will. I mean, he was so highly considered when we had Mark Cassie on this radio program, and then he was disappointing in the Louisiana Derby, if I stand correct. And nobody is talking about him. So, I mean, you run one bad race and you're off. You're off the top 10 chart, so to speak. What do you think about War of Will?
Well, I think you're on to something. That shows how wide open this Derby is this year, because War of Will went into the Louisiana Derby 4-5 at Post Felix. So this horse was well respected going into it. It finished first in the Risen Star. And let's take a look at the owners. Gary Barber is the owner.
Yeah.
So when you see that name, you got to put a concern. And then Mark Cassie and a young good rider like Gaffleone aboard. I think it's got an outside shot, and I think these superfectas are going to pay big this year also.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the day you play the superfecta. And by the way, we're putting a little syndicate together on this radio program. If you'd like to get involved, then you can reach me at raceandsportsradio@yahoo.com. Race and Sports Radio, yahoo.com if you want to get involved. Tommy D and Johnny are organizing it. Tom, you want to give your email or also if anybody listening wants to get involved? And Frank from Buffalo, by the way, I woke up and the first thing I heard when I woke up, there's 6 inches of snow in Buffalo.
Ouch.
And I said, my man Frank, I hope he's still down in Florida. My man Frankie. Frankie, where are you, man? Are you in Buffalo or are you in Florida? Because we are sure hoping you're in Florida. 6 inches of snow in Buffalo. And this is almost May. Tommy D, your email.
Yeah, so Frank, hopefully you didn't go home too soon and jump the gun back to Buffalo. But email is going to be teamhiphorse@gmail.com. Yeah, when we're doing $50 a share, you could do as many shares as you want. We're trying to build up the pool. We're going to be attacking the pick 4, pick 5, pick 6,
big pool,
and superfecta. We're going to try to split up the tickets, hedge a couple different ways. And we've been looking at this Kentucky Derby for weeks now, and me and Johnny have been meeting up and really putting the pen to the paper and doing the work, Felix. So we feel good about it. So if you want to get in on it, just contact me or Felix. We're going to try to do the deadline by Wednesday, Thursday next week because we want to get the money in and have everything set up. And you can do that by PayPal also or Venmo as options if you're not going to see one of us in person.
Phone number here, in case you want to get into the studio, is 866-977-2346. I think that's it. I don't know. We never. I don't know. What is it, Tom?
I don't know.
Come on,
I'm
man.
going with you. You're looking at me. I'm looking at you.
Hey, producer, you're the producer of the show, man. You got to give me cue cards, okay? I mean, come on, help me out.
I will help
I think
you
it's
out.
2346, isn't it?
I'm going to help you out.
It is. It's 866-977.
2346.
That's it. I got it.
1-866-977-2346. Call us today.
Yeah, get online before noon. Actually, it's 9:28, so you can get on before 10 o'clock. Noon, they're listening to it. I had a great conversation with my friend Rick Sumner back in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, and Rick went to a rival school in Newcastle and was one of the most fluid quarterbacks that ever came out of that football powerhouse, and they have these OTBs that are all around, so people can go to satellites back in. Is there one back in New York when you were back in New York?
Oh, yeah. My uncle used to own it called Cleats. I went in there, talked to a couple
Saratoga?
people. No, it's in upstate near Whitesboro, New York, near Utica.
Yep.
But yeah, there's OTBs all over. I went in, shook some hands. When I go back, hand out some hip horse cards and talk to some people.
Absolutely.
And I connected on some bets, so it was good when I was there.
Always good. Johnny Lowe, OTBs, anywhere where you live or where you're from?
I'm from right here.
Well, there's a lot of OTBs.
Yeah.
So you're Mr. OTB. All right, so you were born and raised here?
Born and raised in San Diego.
All right, and what got you involved in horse racing as far as the breeding? Tom Mansour says you're just brilliant.
Well, actually, a couple years ago, I sat down, and I've been going to the track since I was a small child and reading the racing.
And you worked at the track this summer, right?
I did actually, yeah. So I worked in the barn. I worked for Peter Miller.
Nice.
We won the meet at Del Mar over the summer and in the fall.
What'd you do?
I was hot walking for him.
Nice, that's great.
Yeah, every day. The cool thing was in November after the Breeders' Cup and everything, you walk the horses in the morning that ran in the Breeders' Cup. You're not going to just take them out to the track right away. So I'd get there a few minutes early so I could walk Roy H. every day. What an incredible animal he is. There's some horses in that barn that are very special horses, and I was just thankful to be able to get up at 3 a.m. and go over there and handle them every day. You know,
I went over to Del Mar. I had some friends in from Kansas City, and they've never been to the track. And the girl of my friend loved horses. And so we went over there and got on the backstretch, and we were walking through, and I've known Peter Miller for 25 years. I go back with Pete Miller a long, long way before he was even ever a trainer. And I ran into him, and I said, "Hey, Pete, how you doing?" I said, "These are my friends from Kansas City, and, boy, they would really like to see Roy H." And he goes, "Oh, Roy H is right here. Come on down." So we rocked down the shed row. And then who was the other Breeders' Cup winner?
Stormy Liberal.
Yeah, Stormy Liberals. Now, Stormy Liberal had an attitude. Yeah. Stormy Liberal was like, he'll bite you. I mean, he's like, "Hey, look, dude, I don't want anybody to touch me. I'm Stormy Liberal. I'm a champion." And you know what? But Roy H., what a beautiful disposition that this runner had. He was just lovely. Both of them beautiful. But Tommy D, Stormy Liberal, he was like "Hey, what are you, pounding my chest? Like, get away from me." Really had an attitude.
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand. And Johnny got to see that firsthand. And when you go on the backside, with most people don't get to see these experiences, these horses have their own little personalities. They're in their own little world. They have all their friends there and their family, the people taking care of them. It's a great experience, and I think that's what a lot of people don't see. The best thing about horse racing is these animals on the backside. It's just, when you walk through the barns, it's just unbelievable in the morning. My favorite time before anybody's there. Like Johnny said, you get out there, you're one with the horse. Yeah, so
Stop.
Hey.
Stop. I just forgot. I forgot, Tommy D. This just came to me. I forgot. I got to bring this to everybody. Stop the presses. Blue Chip Thoroughbreds up there in Hemet. Tom Mansour listening to our radio program at Santa Anita. Stop the presses. Dan Shea from Donovan's. Great 2 locations, downtown La Jolla. Stop the presses. Tommy D, what about your San Diego Padres?
How about those Padres playing winning baseball here in San Diego for the first time since I moved here, Johnny? I know you're a San Diego guy. I've been here for 12 years, and they have not been winning. So to have a winning team, and it's our only sports team, our last one, guys, our last professional team. So it's all on the Padres right now, and I'm representing the hat as much as I can because – you know what? We got to support our local team. Even though I grew up in New York, San Diego's where I call my home. I didn't have, I didn't grow up I wasn't able to grow up here. You know, I grew up in New York. That's where my parents were. I wasn't like Johnny and able to grow up here, but I love San Diego. This is where I call my home. And if you want to move here, you could also call me for some real estate needs.
That's right.
Team Delurba, all your real estate needs also. So keep that in mind, guys. If you want to come out and enjoy the beautiful weather here, San Diego. Frank, if you want to move out here, get away from Florida and Buffalo, come on out here. Anybody else? But yeah. It's unbelievable, Felix.
Tommy and Erica, Frank, have some great listings out here. So instead of Florida, you can come to San Diego. And Tommy is a realtor at his, this is his real-time gig right here because he puts a lot of effort. He's an owner, and he's working with Johnny Lowe and putting, syndicates together, perhaps buying some horses. And we just got off the Ocala 2-year-old sale. And I know Nick Hines did very well. I know some of my friends did very, very well in pinhooking horses. And I'm very happy for them because, they're trying to eye it out. There's a scout. Larry Zappa is on a plane coming back, and he won't be on today's show, but he was down at that sale, and he was doing a very, very good job in trying to find, tomorrow's winners because, you have that opportunity. A lot of folks buy a young horse as a yearling, and then they develop them, and then they put them in a sale, and sometimes it goes for a lot of money, like maybe a purchase of $70,000 for a yearling might bring $300,000 or $400,000 or $500,000 back to that person who bought them at the yearling sale. So I know Nick Hines was down there. I want to shout out to my friend on TVG, Nick Hines, and always checking in with me. Love him like 20 million. The action today around the country, Churchill Downs opens up. Keeneland closed yesterday, so we'll have a twilight card at the Spires down in Louisville. Tommy D, we got Santa Anita, Johnny Lowe. You got to get up real early to outsmart Johnny Lowe because Johnny Lowe came in and said the action was at Golden Gate, and there's no information in the racing form. I don't know what's going on there, but Golden Gate has been just absolutely beautiful in value, and I think there's a lot of value there. But let's go to Santa Anita real quick, Tommy, because we got Toby coming up. We're at 9:36. We welcome you no matter where you are. Want to shout out to Chris at the Coast News. Chris and I put together a promotion agreement, and I'm going to promote the Coast News on every radio program, and they get along with their newspaper along the coast, and in return, they are going to promote us in their newspaper with ads and doing some co-features, and very, very happy. A lot of people getting involved. Want to shout out to the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Can you believe it, Tommy? We're almost close to opening day at Del Mar. We have to be like 60 days away. I'll count them as you give us your pick five. The pick five, 50 cents. The Stronach pick five yesterday, guys. I don't know if you played that, but that's 5 tracks or 5 races at Laurel, Gulfstream, Santa Anita, and Golden Gate, all the Stronach tracks for $1. A $1 bet returned $88,000, Tommy D. That's your piece of meat. But let's get to Santa Anita. Let's get a Reader's Digest version quickly of the top 5.
Yeah, so in race 1 here, I thought it seemed to be pretty interesting. I like number 1, Start Running. The alone speed in the race here. You got Palma and Esjuan Flores. We've talked about that before. This horse ran in a sensational star last time, 100K, back in the company where it belongs, claiming 40. I think it's the lone speed here. I kind of like this horse quite a bit. And the other 2 horses I like are going to be the Hollendorf horses, the 4 and the 6. He Will is a 7-year-old Hollendorfer. Second time at the claimant level. This horse should be closing, so I'm going to add that in with the 1. And then number 6, Magic Musketeer, other Hollendorfer horse. This horse finished 3rd, behind number 1, Start Running 2 back. So interesting to see. 1, 4, 6 is what I like race 1 here at Santa Anita.
Second race.
Second race. So I like Chow Luna. This horse is going from the turf to the dirt, but as we know, Santa Anita's dirt is a little bit softer right now, not as packed down. Being the safety is a caution here. This horse has improving numbers at 4-1. I like it. And then Empress of Love, I'll put that horse in there. This horse is going to be dropping down in class, claiming 24% here for Ellis. Evan Roman up. That is the favorite at 5-2. So I like 5 and 4 in race number 2.
Third race, my man.
Yeah, so I like Irish horse here. Ellis again. Ellis in DVD, 40% this year on 5 starts. This 4-year-old filly, 6 out of 8 in the money overseas. So I like the chances here coming over here, 7-2.
Point Hope.
Yeah, Point Hope, the 7. And I also like a price here, number 6, Naughty Tiger. Freeman Tiago Piara. Wow, struggling there. Blinkers on, 40%. 5 times we're putting the blinkers on here. This horse second off the bench, 26% on 19 starts. Smiling Tiger, this 3-year-old filly. I want to give it another chance at 15-1. And then number 2, Rocky's Policy, the 5-2 favor here. Lerner Red Hot, 30% on 23 starts. Dropping down in class. When I see his name, I'm going to throw him on the tickets.
Take a little breath here. I want to tell you that I ran into Bill Sparr's assistant trainer watching a basketball game at one of the local watering holes and restaurants this week. And I've known him for a long time. And I said, Darryl, what's up with Tiago Pereira? He said he's healthy, he's smart, and he's in that zone. And so, like, when I looked today, when I got the overnights, I looked and I circled every race that Tiago Pereira is in. And you just mentioned him at a 15-1 shot, Naughty Tiger. But Darryl said that he's on top of his game. Let's go to the 4th race at Santa Anita. A mile and some change, 3 and upward, allowance optional claiming. It's over the dirt. Pepe Tono. Hey, Pepe, what do you think?
Oh, I don't know. This one's tough. A very tough short field here. Number 6, Surfing Star. We talked about this horse. Horse was 3rd in the Tisnow, 2nd off the bench. Should be speed. Bruce Headley. Greider's going to get the call here. Speed and up front. Bruce Headley, owner, trainer there. El Hofeno, the 2-horse. This horse is second in last.
Doesn't Tom Mansour have 235 in this race?
Yeah, he does. I'm going to get to that. I think 4 horses could win this race, but on my ticket, I'm going to be trying to shorten it up. Tom Mansour's horse is number 3, Route 66. Oh, no, sorry. His horse is number 4. 235. Baltus Fuentes, Stay Thirsty. This horse ran in the Pacific Classic last year. Tough competition. So coming back fits nicely here. So that horse does have a chance. Route 66 won 2 in a row, improving. Cornier, Talamo, Quality Road. I know Johnny probably likes that breeding. And number 2, El Hofeno. But on my ticket, I'm going to go with the 6 and the 2, and I'm going to throw Tom Mansour's 4 in there and wish him the best of luck here.
We got to go with Tom Mansour with Blue Chip Thoroughbreds here in the 4th race, 235. He needs that $69,000 purse, so he'll have enough money to get into your syndicate. Don't you understand, guys? That's how it works. If he wins this race, he might buy 20 tickets in that syndicate. But I talked with him this morning. He's at Clocker's Corner. And you know what was really nice about him? He called me and said, hey, I'm at Clocker's Corner. Is there anybody that you would like to have on as a guest that I could go ahead and get for you? I said, well, that's really nice. Get me Tommy D and Johnny Lowe to come into the studio.
Yeah, quality guy.
Huh?
Quality man. He took us up. Johnny and I have actually been up to Blue Chip. I know we got to get you up there too. But I mean, it's an unbelievable farm, Felix. And if you need boarding or training, call him because I mean, Tom is an easy guy to work with. Such a nice guy and loves the game.
You guys inspired him, and he talks the world of you, Tommy Lowe. And regarding, he go, wow, man, that kid is sharp. And I go, yeah. Because you're the breeding guy and you put your efforts into it. Let's close out the Tommy D pick 5.
Sure, yeah. So I'm going to go with the single here, even just to make it light on the ticket. There's a couple horses, but number 4, Brando Bartender. I'm going to go with the experience here. 342 earnings on the turf here. This horse finished 3rd in the Sensational Star. Won at the distance in December at Santa Anita, so I like that. Hard Boot was one that interests me. Victor Espinoza getting up. So when I see Victor up on a couple of these horses that seemed improving, but I'm going to be going singling number 4, Brando Bartender on my pick 5. On a couple other tickets, I'll be putting Hard Boot in there and maybe throwing in number 7, The Hunted.
All right, let's recap it, my man.
Yeah, so in race number 1, I like the 1, 4, and 6. In race 2, I'll be using the 5 and the 4. Oh, that 1 looks tough, too, in race 2. We're going to add the 1 into race 2, sorry.
He scratched.
Oh, scratch. Okay, perfect. I knew that. Race 3, I'll be using the 7, 6, and 2. Race 4, 6, 2, and 4. Let's go Tom Mansour. And in race 5, I'll be using number 4, Brando the Bartender. I'm going to take a single on the experience on the turf here. So I'm going to go with number 4, Brando the Bartender, single to close out the pick 5.
All right. Johnny Lowe, you want to add anything here?
Yeah, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but unfortunately 235 did scratch, so he won't be running today for Mansour.
Yeah,
Well, we'll
I
give him another
Ken
spot.
Rose from Michigan just texted me as you guys were saying this. He got scratched.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know that.
Well,
Now
hopefully
the ticket becomes less, right?
Oh, exactly. Or you could throw in Route 66,
You didn't like him
which could be
anyway,
a good
didn't you?
throw-in. Well, I might throw in Route 66 because this horse won 2 in a row and proving it's going to go up a little bit in class, but that Quality Road is jumping out at me 7-2. I'm going to add it in the 3 there. So 6-2-3 in race 4. And hey, Ken, up there in Michigan, I know you listen all the time. We appreciate you tuning in to the show.
He's got our back. Ken Rose is
Yeah,
our
he's a good
man.
guy.
I mean, he's always checking out. You know what? I mean, like we talked about the horse, and he texted me and said it was scratched. You know, that's what we like. You know, thank you very much for that. Ken Rose, top of the day to you. Your Detroit Pistons still stink, however, but the Detroit Lions did very well in the draft. So good luck to your Lions and your Tigers. I don't know. Talking about Tigers, talking about real big Tigers. Here's Toby Terrell live from Santa Anita. Double T, what's going on?
Well, we're catching the Derby fever now in a big way. I can tell you since last weekend when we spoke, my outlook is changing by the day, kind of like I thought it might this year. I really believe that this is a year you really want to try to get on the hot horse, on the now horse. And when I say that, I'm not necessarily talking form. I'm talking about the now horse on the racetrack and who looks out there like they're absolutely ready to explode and ready for their big race. And then, of course, you got to have everything behind that. You got to be good enough to win. But I really believe this year's Derby is taking a shape unlike any other Derby we have had since this new point system went in, where the favorite has won every year since it's been installed.
We just talked about that. You know, with the years, you know, Tommy D and Johnny Lowe's inside the studio, a friend of Tommy D's who's an expert on breeding. And I say that so respectfully because he puts a lot of effort into it. He knows the breeding game, which, you know, if you're going to play the game, then you're going to really have to dive into that. But we talked about it, and they couldn't remember years ago, Toby, when we kicked off this radio program in the mid-'90s back in Las Vegas, Nevada, you and I would go back and forth. I was in Vegas and you were in Santa Anita, and we would talk during the Kentucky Derby lead up. Was that, well, you know, who's the last favorite to win the Kentucky Derby? And we go, well, we don't know. It was like 20 years ago. And so, but as I mentioned this morning, that the last 5 derbies, Toby, have been won by the betting favorite, meaning that the shortest price on the board, the horse that the public was backing, won the Derby. So for the last 5. You talk about hot horses. What we talk about on Derby Day is steam horses. Who is your steam horse? That's what I want to know. I was talking to Tommy D and Johnny and to the radio audience about our late friend Kenny Daniels, who worked with me 15 years on the radio. We went down this Kentucky Derby, Preakness, Belmont Stakes, Triple Crown Trail so many times with 2 horses. I'll talk about it tomorrow, but I don't have time right now. Who's your steam horse right now, Toby?
Well, I can tell you down memory lane in 2005, because I've been actually getting quite a few tidbits of who can win and who can't, and which trainers have never won the race and which trainers have never had a horse in the race and all that kind of stuff. But along the lines, I saw that Big Money Mike Smith has won this race twice. Of course, last year, we can't forget the Triple Crown with Justify, but prior to that, his last win was in 2005 with Giacomo. And Felix, I'll never forget us being in the sports book there at Caesar's Palace.
Unbelievable.
talking about all the B horses that were supposed to run 1, 2, 3. Wasn't any of the B horses. It was the G horse who got up and got all the money. But I'll just answer the question. I'll deflect it a little bit. I can tell you that the hot horse right now, the steam horse, is Brett Calhoun's Be My Standards, the horse that just won the Louisiana Derby as a maiden, is the steam horse of the moment on the racetrack for all the boys back in Louisville.
Yeah, and we're just talking about it. Johnny Lowe talking about breeding. We did the top 5. The dam of Be My Standard,
By
right?
My Standards.
By My Standard. I'm sorry. Is Jealous Woman, and you watched Jealous Woman, who was a turfer, right, Toby?
Not only a turfer, but a lightning fast turfer. I'll never forget her. Patrick Valenzuela actually rode her in the day for Bill Spar. And then she changed hands over to Frances Meza, I believe, for about the last 8 starts of her career. But she was lightning fast. She was one of those fillies that would go out there and set just a sizzling fraction. She'd open up 7, 8 lengths on the field. A lot of times she'd do too much early and not save enough. But she was lightning fast. It's funny because I'm sitting here in the box seats at Santa Anita, and it's December, and I'm just I'm sitting there. I think it's late November, and here comes a guy behind me and says, "What do you know about this Brett Calhoun horse that's running at Churchill Downs today?" I said, "Well, I don't know anything, right? Let me make a phone call for you." So I call up. I find out a good horse, a good way of moving, whatever, and the horse runs about 5th, I believe. Didn't run a bad race. All of a sudden, months later, of course, I pull him up after he wins the Louisiana Derby, and I say, "That wasn't the horse you asked me about, was it?" "Oh, yes, it was." And the reason why he was asking me is he owns the mare of the horse that we're talking about. So
that's Martin Mueller.
Out here.
Martin Mueller from Las Vegas?
I'm not, I don't believe that's him.
Yeah, there's 3 partners, but Martin Mueller, my friend, told me that he along with his buddies, I think there's 2 others, but yes, that's correct. Yeah. And wow, that's going to be interesting. Hey, Toby, we're going to have a great show tomorrow. Johnny Lowe, hope you can make it into the studio tomorrow, and we'll go ahead and we're going to revise our times for next week so we can do an early show so we can get out. But I want to ask you that there seems to be a lot of action at Golden Gate today, 13 races. About the Southern California horses that are going up to Golden Gate, have you made any mental notes in regard to, when you look at this field, look, 13 races, guys. 13 races at Golden Gate. Are there any Southern California horses that, you give an added look to that are part of this 13 race card today?
You know what? I actually looked at I looked at all of them last night, but that's all I did. I just kind of scanned through. I'll be kind of watching out of the corner of my eye, see how they do, but I'm going to have to deflect right over to Tommy D and hope he can carry the show for us there.
Tommy D told me that they're digital. They're digital. Johnny Lowe and Tommy D are all digital. And the paper stuff is not good. Okay, so they're all on their iPads and stuff like that. Okay, this is the new millennials bringing it, moving it forward. And they said that for some reason, the past performances of Golden Gate wasn't on their digital. So, they were very, very sad this morning. And I said, well, we should run out and get a racing form and see if that's it. But Tommy D will come up with. What about Santa Anita, Toby? What about Santa Anita? You've been extremely good at Santa Anita. Give us your best bet, a horse that you're going to bet at Santa Anita today.
Okay, well, I believe in race number 6 that the number 5 horse, True Validity, is going to just run right off the screen, and I'm confident in every way that this horse will win today. This filly, she's not going to be any kind of price or anything, but it's the kind of situation where you take her and then you go to the Santa Margarita. and you have, by the way, Paradise Woods, just kind of put 2 and 2 together here. Omaha Beach is scheduled to work and did work at Churchill Downs. Mike Smith was supposed to be there. He decided not to get on the plane because he's going to stay here and ride Paradise Woods. That might mean something, too. So maybe there's 2 of our last 4 winners on the card for us.
All righty. There you go, man. There you go, Tommy D. Okay, True Validity. And who's riding True Validity, Tommy D?
Tiago Pereira.
And we were just
D'Amato.
talking about Tiago Pereira as a strange thing. Johnny Lowe, chime in. What do you got?
So I've got a horse for you at Golden Gate today. In the 10th race, I like Blitzkrieg. He has been on fire since the claim. He's 3 for 4 this year, and he's been putting on some impressive performances on the downhill course at Santa Anita. And a lot of times people look at those to translate into a mile rather than the 5 furlong sprints. And in the big race today at Golden Gate, the 10th race, he's 6-1. He's by Warfront. He's out of an Arch Mare.
Yeah.
The horse has the breeding. He's got the size, and O'Neill's got him going in the right direction.
And Rafael Bejarano, my man. Rafi riding him at 6-1. That's a great race. Have you looked at this race, Tommy D?
I didn't, but I took just a brief look, glanced at it. But yeah, Bejarano going up to right up north, as we know, Bejarano, one of the top best riders. Not as prominent as he was at one time, but still obviously a top rider going up for O'Neill. I like the pick. I saw a horse at Churchill Downs, a couple of horses.
Hold on one second, because I want to ask you in that race. River Boyne, Toby. River Boyne, Flavian Pratt gets the call, 3-1 on the morning line, number 10. You had to see River Boyne work.
I did. He, beauty of River Boyne is he's about as close to the definition of a machine turned racehorse that you'll ever see. This is a remarkable horse. It just goes out there machine-like in the morning, puts that head down, does the same thing in the afternoon. I'm a little worried about the post position out there. I really can't envision the kind of winning trip that he can get out there at a low price. So from a wagering standpoint, I don't think I could bet on him today.
All righty. Tommy D, now you want to go to Churchill Downs as we talk about opening day at Churchill Downs. What do you got at Churchill Downs? I mean, you're putting your huevos on the line here opening day at Churchill, so come big.
Yeah, that's good. I'm maiden 50. I'm looking maiden 50, maiden specials. I got a couple horses here, first-time starters in race 5 at Churchill. Number 7, Copper Fiddle at 5-1. Wayne Catalano and Giroux.
Hey, there's Wayne.
Good work, Tabs. Debut 27%. And then number 3, Atmos, another first-time starter. You got Roman and Landros. Good workouts by Candy Ride here. 12-1 on this. Both 2 first-time starters that I think have a decent shot here in race 5. 5-1 and 12-1.
The trainers that we've had on, and remember, you're always notorious, always asking, what do they have come up running? What's next? Again, Ian Wilkes has Chris Landeros, which is his son-in-law, riding at Keeneland. I think it was this week on a 12 to 14-1 shot that won by $1 million. Keeneland is gone. Now they go to Churchill, so it's a different surface. It starts at 3:00. And we're on our way to the Kentucky Derby, which next Saturday. Tomorrow's show, we're going to have a great show. Tomorrow morning, straight up at 9:00. Best bet, Tommy D, where you going?
Oh, geez. I think that the best bet today, I'm kind of stuck on, I'm for Brando the Bartender race 5 as a single, but for more of a price in race 7, I like a horse number 7, Move Over. Palma, Victor Espinoza riding for Palma. That's an old school connection there.
Hold on.
Dropping
Victor
down
Espinoza
in class.
Only had one mount yesterday. He won, so Victor is choosing his mounts coming from the injury. Victor Espinoza, I would like to see S1 Flores more so because that's his go-to guy. But give us it again.
Yeah, so number 7, Move Over, and it has to do with Victor going on and Palma. He used to ride for Palma way back in the day.
Yep.
Palma's one of those guys that gives all the young guys a chance, and that's why S1's tied up with them. Grand fellow, Hector Palma. I go back to the 70s with Hector Palma. He is just one of my favorite people.